And we are live.
Welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 337. I am Otto, or Phil, if you want to dead name me. Tonight I am joined by Jared Snyderman.
What's up, guys?
James Babb.
Hello.
And Bird from the Timeline Earth Podcast.
Hello.
So what's going on, man? What's going on, guys?
Hey. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. I've been meaning to get you on our show. And I've been on your show a few times way back in the day.
Yeah, you haven't visited the old new studio yet, have you?
I haven't. No crack house yet.
No crack house yet? We'll get you in there. We gotta get you in there.
I gotta get started on that addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm in Baltimore, so I'm just sticking with heroin right now.
You come on up, move up, you get some uppers in you. You'll be back to normal soon. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what your show and everything, just in case no one has ever heard of you, which I doubt.
Wild. So we went on all right, so I've been on like 3 or 4 different shows trying to rehearse this. So excuse me if I miss parts of it, but all right. So we used to be the Friends Against Government podcast. And then we decided that Carr, my co-host, we decided that we wanted to expand the brand, and we brought in a former multi-time guest and made him a host along with us. That's Aaron, my other co-host, and we brought him in, and around about October we did our big October special, and between October and November things started to change a little bit. Aaron made a couple of bad deals, put us in a couple of tight spots, said a couple of bad words, and we eventually, being the fact that we signed up with Aaron signed us up to a union. The union wasn't happy with the way that we were performing, the words we were using, and so they started to boycott us. And that went on for about a month. Aaron got knocked out outside in a fight with a couple of the union people. Eventually, it turned into Thanksgiving Day. We had to flee because they were burning the building down. And that was a big, terrible process. We ended up going to Pennsylvania for a little while. And now we're in the Bronx. And we have a new brand, Timeline Earth. That's our new great brand. We sold our old brand off for $40 to a couple of guys who you may or may not have had on here before. And that didn't go very well either. And they wanted their money back, but we sold it on some drugs, which we've been. So here's the thing. Timeline Earth necessitated us using a lot of uppers. And so I've taken to using crack, and I've developed a strong crack addiction along with my other co-hosts who've also done that. And the saga ends with where I am today, which is a couple of new sub shows on the old program, including my own Into the Cave, where I explore strange topics, usually while I'm high on crack, but not always. And Phil, that's where we're at. And also, I am going to be dead naming you for the remainder of this episode, just so you know.
It's fine. You get a pass for all your hardship. I think.
That is a real roundabout way to get onto the Punk Rock Libertarian Podcast.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
I mean, here you are.
It's kind of a punk way to go about it, if you might say.
Right. No, man, I feel bad for you guys. Everything you've been through, all the struggles the past few months.
It's been tough.
I know Carr had to give up volleyball for a while. So
little while. Apparently he's back, but we haven't been seeing much success.
I don't know what these like magic words were that got you like went to war with the unions. I mean, what was it like? I mean, what the hell?
So if you know Aaron, if you get the chance to meet Aaron, God forbid you get a chance to meet Aaron, he's usually says whatever's on his mind. And the union that we happened to sign up for was a very progressive, forward-thinking union, sort of like an International Workers of the World type union.
Like the Teamsters?
A lot more progressive even than the Teamsters. And this
like
was
like the school teachers?
Yes, we're closer to like the school teacher and the preschool teacher and school psychologist, the prison lobby. Yeah. And so we got, just the way that we are, the words we speak, they just upset. They didn't like it. And we refused to stop. and we put out a lot of bonus episodes and stuff. I think what did it was we did a 8-hour Halloween special, and people were really upset with that because the union didn't get its dues for 8 hours because we did most of it in the dark. We didn't want to have the union guy who flips the light switch on every time we come in. That's his job. So we kind of went beyond some of the union protocols. It happens when you're in a union, if you've ever been in a union.
Why did
Not
you
great.
get into a union?
We had great health benefits, which would really come in handy right now, considering what we've become addicted to. But now we don't have those health benefits, so
Right. Yeah, but it also came with this
Tragic.
angry mob trying to.
We didn't know that, unfortunately.
Harm.
We didn't know
I guess that's like a health detriment. So you get health insurance, but there's also a health downside.
Yeah, yeah. Swings and roundabouts, to signing up for a union.
Wow.
Phil was just going, wow.
Yeah. I mean,
I did that whole spiel on Monica's show, and Monica was like nodding her head up and down, like, yeah. Like she was really into it. And at one point, Binkley goes, did this really happen? Like near the end of it. And we were like, yeah, man, it really did. It was really tough. Yeah.
Well, we assume that it's completely factual, and we're not going to question your integrity with
Thank you so much.
a story like that.
We don't need to see the docs. So
thank you so much.
Yeah.
If
you're a lesser podcast,
show,
I don't know how we're going to get it by our fact checker, but we're going to try.
Well, yeah, you're going to, yeah.
Good
luck finding those docs.
Fact checking. As a comedy show, there's no fact checking. Best we can hope for is a misunderstood out of context.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Cover all of our bases. Anyone whose name we mention who may or may not resemble a person who's real is not real and a figment of the show.
Yeah, sure.
I saw one of those like context flags on a Facebook post. It was a quote of Joe Biden talking about executive orders, and and Joe Biden says something like, like you can't rule by executive order. That's what a dictator would do. Like it's so funny. So it's a legit quote. He actually said this, but it's out there, right? So anyway, bring in the techno oligarchs to kind of how do we smooth this over? Oh, just say it's out of context. Yeah. You didn't really. He said it, yes, but we think you're going to come to a conclusion that we don't want you to come to. So, and that conclusion is that he'll say whatever the hell he needs to say for politics at any given moment. Do whatever the hell he wants to do by executive order if it suits his agenda. So.
Right. You do a really good job at that, man. You should totally be a fact checker at Facebook. You should apply.
Pretty good. Speaking of fact checking, can I veer us into bird watching? Because that's something we didn't discuss. And that they find so Twitter decided that what needed to be done was more fact checking. Because, only tags, apparently, your hashtags, those are the only things that bring up certain fact checking buttons and things like that. Like if you put COVID, hashtag COVID underneath it, it will get the real facts about COVID under every post that does it. So we noticed that, we saw that. What they decided to do, and this is a brilliant idea, is they created bird watching. So there's a few people now who have the bird watching ability on their Twitter account, which is if you see something that you don't think is factual, you can report it, but you don't report it to the normal reporting system. You report it to the bird watching system. And what happens when you do that is that it will take you to a different screen where you can insert why you think the thing is inaccurate, and you can give the full context. You can write out a blurb that says what exactly about it you think is out of context. So naturally, I heard this on my show and I said, once we get the power to do this, we're going to immediately start brigading people and saying that they're saying false news because we want to break the system as quickly as possible. So luckily, some intrepid individuals did that long before I got the ability to. And we find that, do you remember that AOC tweeted during this whole, we'll talk about this later, but during the Wall Street thing, AOC tweeted something like, I'm calling for a full investigation into Robinhood and other companies because, they can't just shut down certain stocks while the hedge fund managers make up their way. Ted Cruz happened to agree with her. He was like, fully agree. It was a quote tweet. So then she quote tweeted him and said, you know what? Normally I'd be willing to work with most Republicans, and I'm willing to work with most Republicans. But that guy, and she's quote tweeting Ted Cruz, tried to have me killed 3 weeks ago, and so I don't want to work with him. And but I'll work with other Republicans. So now that happens, and immediately what happens now? Bird watching is available, so people start brigading her tweet. Right, the one where she says he tried to have me killed 3 weeks ago, and it's just dozens of comments. Dozens of bird watching comments in this bird watch section, if you click on it, that say, actually, Ted Cruz didn't try to have you killed 3 weeks ago. No, you're over exaggerating. That's not what happened. No, Ted Cruz. Right. So they're already, because this is obviously not the intention of Twitter at all. They don't want things like that to happen. She can say as many hyperbolic things as she wants, but the minute anybody says something that doesn't work with what Twitter's platform or ideas are, they would get that done. But luckily, there are some individuals out there who are brigading as appropriate and really holding the left neolibs to account when they just kind of say words like he tried to have me killed 3 weeks ago, which obviously isn't true, but it works to her agenda. So just want to say shout out to those bird watchers. And the minute that this community starts getting bird watching powers, we are also going to start holding people accountable in our party and in others.
So wait, is this bird watching ability, is it granted to anybody, or
we don't know yet? You know how voice tweets were, where they rolled it out to different people, and some people still have it, some people don't. That's how it seems to be.
I'm guessing your personal social credit score will determine how influential your bird watching is, right? Like if you're determined to be a wrong thinker, let me guess.
Wait,
like
I wonder
right?
if they can strip you of the bird watching power. Like,
of course they can, but once you're confirmed narrative reinforcer and regurgitator, you know, like once you've got a blue check mark, like I regurgitate mainstream narratives, then you can just do their work for them, which is regurgitating mainstream narratives, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
Just let them go. Like, I mean, if we really wanted to play this, you'd have to sort of play along for a while, and like build up your cred.
Yep.
But then, you know, what we've seen what a mass of people can do on the internet. Remember the Ron Paul revolution when internet polls were kind of new, 2007. Like people were like, "Hey, who's your favorite candidate?" Boom, Ron Paul's just like crushes every known like, wow, is Ron Paul popular? What's going on there? Like, whoa, wait a minute. And we saw all the mainstream people they all had to pull back their polls and redo their polling and just change the polls. Just like whoa, wait a minute. We didn't mean we really wanted to hear from the internet. You know, like but here we are today, right? It's like, oh no, Reddit masses, don't upset our stock market that we've carefully set up to milk wealth from the world. You're not allowed to use it. That's our scam.
Man, I'm looking forward to using it. I really want it. I need a few good, dedicated bird watchers, and we can make a lot of trouble with just a few.
Do it. Why not? I mean, if at least have some fun with it. I have a feeling it's really just going to come down to like algorithms versus the masses versus our ability to dodge their algorithms to their ability to tweak them to. You know, it's a culture war. It's interesting to see how it's playing out. Like, did you see that Robinhood got like 100,000 like negative reviews? Like it was like suddenly had the lowest possible app rating you could like mathematically achieve, right? Like, so it's like, okay, game, you know, like system gamed, right? Oh, and then but Google's like, no, nope.
And it wasn't just Google. No. It was Apple did the exact same thing. Apple was getting review bombed, and they were like, we'll take those reviews right out. Now, they say that there's a policy to prevent review bombing, but I don't understand. If a company does something bad, why does it matter that you decide to make the review then? That would be when you'd want to put the review in. So I don't quite understand that.
I would doubt especially that if a CEO of a company came out like a leaked audio of him like dropping M-bombs left and right, that they would probably allow a lot of those negative
probably
reviews.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's in response to something that the company's literally doing wrong, right? It's not like, I mean, even in the N-bomb situation, it's like, is the company doing that, or did some dickhead that works for the company do that? You know?
Yep.
But like, literally, the company shut down trading. You know, whether it was in coordination with these hedge funds or whether it was because of their clearinghouse got backed up or whatever it was, you know, it still is on them. They fucked up. They either didn't have enough funding in their clearinghouse, or they're just, you know, corrupt pieces of shit working with, you know, these billionaire hedge funds. Either way, you know, I think it's justified to fucking bomb the shit out of them with bad reviews
in Minecraft. So here we go. Now on Apple, they still haven't restored it. It's at 4.2. But on Google, they already went back and now it's at 1.1 again. They re-reviewed it badly and now it's back down to 1.1. So you can't stop that. Jesus.
But it's just neat. It's just neat to see the mainstream people deployed as predicted to defend the mainstream interests and the big financial interests and the Wall Street regulars. It's like, come on, you know. It's like before they're like, okay, look, we used Facebook and Twitter for our political purposes successfully. Now we want to turn off politics. Did you hear Facebook has announced they want to like depoliticize Facebook suddenly? Okay.
Wow.
Like, remember after like 12 daily posts about, are you registered to vote? Are you voting? Did you vote? Are you voting? Vote. You voted, right? Did you vote?
They got what they wanted.
Vote. Like, they beat the shit out of us on that crap continuously. Then they beat the shit out of us about how legitimate the process was. And they're still beating the shit out of us about how to accept it. And he's our rightful ruler and shut up and just, you know, anyway. So, but now they don't want to do politics. Oh, that's interesting. And now we also have to make sure people aren't discussing finances on the internet. I get, like, this is the new way. This is going to be a new level of. It's going to be I think it's going to cascade into like a Patriot Act level, or like suddenly it's going to be like, no, you can't discuss stocks on social media.
You can't say buy the dip. That would be a crime if you said buy the dip, because you don't have a license.
Exactly. Like, oh, that, you know what? That looks, you said buy the dip. We're calling that community standards flag. Dude, that's where we're headed. It's like, you're going to be like, if it's not like a picture of your cat or your dinner, like, so we're going to have to
start bird watching cat pictures and stuff. Right. That is not a cat. That is a
all
dog.
Of our memes. Like, suddenly all of our memes are going to be like cat pictures and food pictures.
Yeah,
like, we're going to have to like put our messages in those.
Yeah, your alphabet to like beat on taxation and stuff.
You get like a picture of a zebra, and then in the middle you just MS paint out the stripes, and you put "Don't ever forget Benghazi" in there, something like that.
Hey, meme shorts asking us if we were forced to follow Joe Biden on Instagram. Apparently, he got auto added as a follower, and he's in Canada.
Check this out.
This is meme short, so it
may
or may not be true.
He's our local, well, not local, but he's our regular Donald Trump fanatic. He's a good guy. He just loves Donald Trump so much.
No, I'm luckily not following him.
Well, how do you think you could get force added to Joe Biden?
Let's
discuss that. Is that theoretically plausible?
Very plausible.
Of course it is. I mean, they were able to put U2 on everybody's iPods in 2011 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. I think it's more than possible, because they're going to say, well, you need to stay informed on what the president says. So we're just going to make you autofile or sponsor the president's tweets. So
isn't it enough that they can send out those like automatic like phone messages on a special alert channel and shit like that, like Amber Alert?
That's right. They do that, yeah.
It's like,
well, that was Trump's whole system that he instituted, and then we never got a text from him again. Remember, he put that whole text system. I was thinking, like, especially after the 6th, we're gonna get like they kicked me out of the White House, you know, like a couple of text messages, but we didn't get any of those. I feel like, I mean, Biden is already setting records with executive orders. He'll probably be sending us text messages too. What does your hair smell like today?
No, I thought it was going to be like execute order 66.
Speaking of Biden, he's signed 42 executive actions
from 2 days ago, by the way. So who the hell knows what it's at now?
It could be double that.
Executive orders. My God.
A lot of people are concerned about that. How do you guys feel? Do you is that?
Am I concerned about executive orders?
Yeah,
like somebody's like, hey, that's not law. That's just made up. That's not. You can't do laws that way. That's not the law. That's just made up.
man, I feel like they'll kidnap you in your sleep if you want to. I don't know how, like, if the executive order, I just look at the executive orders like, oh, okay. You just have to absorb them because what do you know what I mean? Because they have to all go through court and they're all going to get challenged anyway, unless there's just unanimous agreement about them. What the hell can we do? This is something that they're allowed to do, right? That and then court packing.
Well,
we'll see that.
They've got the guns. Soon. They've got the guns to do it. But I think the important thing to come away with here, if people are like really upset, like, oh, you're supposed to use the legislature to do this, like you're not supposed to do executive order. I mean, do you guys hear that a lot? I wish Kyle was here. That's right. Like, what are the statists saying? Like, don't they think like
field hockey?
Actually, he had off tonight. He sent me a message, and I never really got that. I never saw
Tell
it.
Kyle that we need to hear from statists. We need to hear like what how statists can explain this. Like, no, it's got to be from the legislature, and then we're supposed to obey.
Oh man!
Like, I want to hear a statist explain to me, like, if it comes from those guys over there, it's legit. But if just one asshole says it, that's not legit. So I don't know. Like, maybe you guys understand it? We need a statist to explain it.
Yes, I have not seen anybody be asked. So, are you comfortable with the number of executive orders? I have not seen anybody address that question at all. I'm Googling it. I Googled many executive orders, Biden, CNN, nothing. MSNBC, nothing. They just kind of tell you what they are. They don't ever use a qualifier like this is a lot or this is not a lot.
This one's going to fix racism though. Executive order on advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government.
Oh, you mean wait? He's going to release the children from the ICE prisons
from Epstein's Island? No. Dude.
Oh wait, he's going to close Guantanamo Bay?
No.
What?
No.
War in Yemen.
No.
Apparently they're getting some shots. They're getting the people in Guantanamo Bay. They're getting their COVID shots.
Oh,
are they?
Yeah, the prisoners.
I'm glad that they're using an untested vaccine on terrorists. Of course, that's a good thing, at least, and instead of using good American people, right?
Yeah,
but
don't all the libs want them to send the insurrectionists to Guantanamo? Wasn't that?
Well, they're terrorists too, right? And then I adjust my CNN glasses. Yeah, and that's them too. My face starts to turn gray.
It's what do we call it? Imperialism beer goggles. That's what we call it.
Sick. You know that they're. So on top of Guantanamo Bay, which is already a horror show to imagine that they're using experimental drugs on prisoners from other countries. Anybody hear anything about if they're using them on prisons in this country?
Not yet. I have not heard a thing about that.
Well, what about those 20 million missing vaccines? Where do you think those are? Black market? What's going on? What do you think? People are taking them home?
We're saying only half of the shots out of what fewer than 22 out of 41 million vaccine doses handed out to the states. Fewer than 22 million have been administered.
And they have expiration dates. So quick expiration dates. They need to be kept at a certain temperature.
There was some story today where someone got caught out, I guess a bunch whoever's administering these got caught out in the snowstorm in the Northeast. And so instead of, because they were expiring, they just ended up shooting themselves up with it.
And they were offering passengers or people that are passing by. Passing by. There we go.
So in Chicago, they are vaccinating prisoners, but they also vaccinated the guards first.
Good God. And there were such virtuous things to do.
States are telling federal officials that they believe millions of doses are lost in the distribution system.
That's
just lost.
Do you guys remember Puerto Rico?
But these are the people that should be in charge of our healthcare.
Jesus.
Yeah. Remember the Puerto Rico health effort after their relief effort after the hurricane?
They just let the water bottles.
They're like years later, they're finding huge warehouses full of water.
How'd they get there?
Generators.
But remember, Trump threw the paper towels at people.
If only he threw the water bottles.
Operation
Through,
Warp
the large
Speed.
deposits of water.
Well, I'm not sure, I mean, who could have really predicted that Operation Warp Speed would lose 20 million doses of the vaccine that they were charged with delivering for Pfizer? I mean, look at the successes they've had in the past, whether it's Afghanistan, Iraq, right? Like, I mean, the Pentagon has really come through for us in the past with these like sweeping victories, efficiency. They really can get that. They can. I remember. I think I even saw like a mission accomplished banner that like on a battleship. Like these guys can get stuff.
I mean, if
done.
they could run vaccines like they ran guns, I mean, we might be in better shape.
Or cocaine. Yeah, like
cocaine. Yeah.
All right, don't.
We should have been like,
hey, in front of Bird, okay?
So I'm now understanding this. I thought I was misunderstanding this, that they lost the bottles of vaccinations, but it seems like 20 million vaccine doses are missing, which means the government did deliver them to the states, but the states haven't administered them yet. So is this a case of we're not vaccinating people quickly enough, or, oh man, one of them just rolled onto the table, I guess we got to go get another one? Like, what is happening?
I think it's both, because
it
you
could
see
be
stories left and right of people, like some guy got arrested. He was some like fire captain or whatever. He was stealing it, and like he threw away a few hundred of them because he didn't want people to take them. Yeah, so there's been a mix of probably of both, in my guess.
Because he didn't want people to take them.
I've heard about strict penalties for line jumpers. Did you hear about this? I think it was New York. They said, look, we're really concerned about line jumpers. We've decided who the priority is, and we don't want you rich people getting in line. Remember this when Charles Barkley and shit said they're like, hey, what about us? Anyway, line jumpers, they're like, they like came up with these like really harsh fines. So now the providers get a bottle, and a bottle has like 8 or 12 doses in one bottle. Okay. But they've got 2 people that qualify under these strict guidelines. Well, what do we do with the rest? They ask their boss. The boss says, oh shit, throw it out. They can't risk giving the rest of those doses to somebody and facing these harsh penalties for line jumping. They're like, but I would have taken that dose. Nope, you're out of line. That would have been a $15,000 penalty. God. So I think we're going to see this perfect storm of Pentagon expediency and violence combined with state bureaucracy and local corruption and greed and incompetence and cronyism. And I mean, if I was a believer in this vaccine, I'd be pissed off. I'd really be pissed.
Yeah, it's like, it's funny. Like, can you, if you don't like it, it's like, well, it's moving too quickly. If you do like it, it's like, can you please get a handle on this whole situation? There are people in New York. They did a whole news story on this. Like thousands of people who were waiting online to get vaccinated from a specific place, and then like halfway through the night, they were like, we actually don't have any more vaccinations. And all the people online, like, we had appointments. We made appointments for this. Like, what are you doing? So then that's on the other end, which I think is funny, that there's thousands of people crowding in lines all next to one another to wait to get the vaccine, only to be told, oh, I guess you can't. It's just
government efficiency.
It's really madness, which is a good thing. If you're anti-vaccine, this is good. This is a good thing right now.
I mean, I'm not pro or against, but I just think that people, I'm just hoping there's a lesson in there for everybody. It's like, look, if you think this is important, like, look at the people you put in charge of it and look at how they're fucking it up. Maybe that's not a good idea. Like, come on, like, think it through next time. Okay. The Pentagon is not going to be the one to deliver your vaccine. The state government does not give a shit about you. Okay. The state government does not care. They force, in Pennsylvania, the state government forced nursing homes to accept COVID patients. Thousands died. The government could have made the vaccine available as early as February last year. Okay. A long time ago. A lot of people died. Okay, but they wouldn't do certain kinds of testing because it was considered too dangerous. Okay, they didn't do the type of testing where you take the vaccine and then you're exposed to it, like, right, on purpose to test it, right? They're like, nope, you can't do that. And like another 100,000 people died. Like, we're glad people would have happily done that. So if you believe in the vaccine, then you should believe that 100,000 plus people have died needlessly at the hands of these government bureaucrats, and they're still going to be dying as people wait for this vaccine to be delivered.
Yep, no doubt.
Speaking of, I just saw this headline, which we forgot to put down, but I want to bring it up since I'm seeing it now.
Oh, boy.
But, so it turns out
who could have guessed?
Proud
the
Boy.
leader of the Proud Boys was a prolific FBI and police informant.
Oh, of course he was.
Not just a regular snitch.
Yeah.
Prolific.
A prolific snitch.
This motherfucker wouldn't stop talking. Even the FBI was like, just shut up. You know,
everybody was wondering, hey, man, you look familiar. No, I don't. I guess you don't. That was the extent of the security check.
Oh, my God.
How many? See, the greatest part is how many people did this FBI agent entrap and tell to go and do things that now they're being arrested for?
Well, it's already being spun, though. I already saw a bunch of people saying that he did this to save some children that were being that he knew that were being put into forced slavery or whatever, slavery.
He's thinking about Comet Ping Pong. He should be going to Comet Ping Pong and figuring that situation out.
It says here, if you had been following this guy, you must be devastated at this point to realize what a jerk you've been to follow this guy who is, first of all, the whole philosophy of West is best, and it's freaking collectivist as fuck. Okay, screw that guy. Anybody that went along with it, this is exactly what they deserve. Boom,
he has got a Wikipedia page. This guy has got a Wikipedia page.
I think he was an FBI and police informant in Florida who went undercover in multiple drug and illegal gambling investigations.
Ooh.
Doesn't say anything about pedophile entrapment or anything like that.
But that was the secret thing. They just can't talk to you about that. They just can't talk.
They can't tell you, right?
That's Q told them.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
See, because there's any minute there's going to be a bunch of mass arrests in D.C. and Hollywood, and they're going to end it like.
Yeah, he was actually informing on Hillary.
Just deep undercover.
He was informing on Hillary Clinton. That's really what was happening.
So listen to this. So even on the Wikipedia page, after Tarrio confronted and shouted expletives at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in Coral Gables in late 2018, the chairman of the Miami-Dade Republican County apologized for it. So hold on. So this guy in order to go undercover, he has to actually go and get into people's faces and yell at them. And so how much further does he go? Does he tell them, oh, maybe you guys should go and, at that rally, maybe you should go rough people up? But of course, he's not going to be held accountable if he was to say something like that. Obviously, he would never be held accountable for that. I just can't get over the fact that this guy has a Wikipedia page, and it looks like it was put together before it came out that he was an informant, which is kind of incredible.
They didn't even check the dude on Wikipedia to find out he's a Fed.
Imagine.
Oh my
God!
know.
It seems like it's funny because it says Henry Tarrio is the chairman of the Proud Boys, a far-right neo-fascist male-only political organization, which it's really not any of those things, but I'm not.
What?
I know quite a lot about all of those things, and it doesn't seem like they're any of them. But anyway, he was a candidate.
Isn't it just kind of a trolling thing
as far as I understand it, they are Western male chauvinists is how they identify themselves, meaning they're patriots, which is just the same thing everybody else seems to want to call themselves. But anyway, so the guy's a state director for Latinos for Trump, as well as being a Republican primary election candidate in the 27th district. So I can't tell if these are all things that he did while he was an FBI agent just to really sell the job. Because if so, bravo, sir. That's great stuff that you created all these organizations. Or if he is actually like a Trump supporting Republican who is like, you know what, man, these people are giving the right a bad name and I got to go and bust them up. I can't tell. I have no idea. If anybody knows who can message, clarify that, because this is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
he's a snitch. What else do we need to know?
Right.
Definitely. I'm just trying to figure out when. Like if his whole life, probably, I imagine.
Maybe he was paid to go and infiltrate the organization. Because I heard
back the blue, right? Trump is all about back in the blue, right?
Right.
Back the blue, but blue, thin blue line. We love our cops. We're sucking cop dick. Isn't this what he is? He's a cop.
Yeah, he's a cop. So it seems like the first time he got involved with the Proud Boys was obviously in 2017 in a Milo, at a Milo gathering where he
Jesus.
met a Proud Boy who was like, "You want to come and join up with us?" So he was already a cop at the time. So whoever that guy was, you got to can that guy because he does not have a good eye for cops.
Right.
Jeez.
They just look, it just the
There's a
FBI
look.
needs to create that. Like, look, we brought somebody down. They create the people they bring down. That's just that's their product line.
I'm just wondering who he brought down.
Model.
Do we know what the result of his infiltration was? Did people get arrested because of it? Like what's the deal? Did he even do anything, or did he just lead this group and cause trouble, and now he won't see any responsibility for it?
Shouldn't you ask Gavin? Because Gavin was still a part of the Proud Boys in 2017.
I love that, right?
And people are saying that Gavin's a Fed.
Since he was a baby. I'm willing to agree with that. Yeah, he was a snitch since he was a baby. I believe that.
Really, anybody that has a thin blue line sticker or a sign in the front yard that says "I support the police" or "Back the Blue" or any of that bullshit, they're basically a snitch. They're basically right. Like, what's the difference, right? So,
what is the difference?
I think this is completely in character for him to love Trump and love snitching and love just being a cop and choosing this and think of all the attention somebody with like a minority figure get being in Republican circles. They probably were quick to push him to the front of the stage, out of the parade, put him on stage. Look, he's got almost brown. His skin's brown, and he's one of us.
Yeah,
Get him up there.
Right. He's been the face of the meme that went around for a while now, where it says, "Oh, this is the worst white nationalist group ever." If their leader is, and it shows a picture of him, and I'm like, so he's been a meme for these people.
So
exactly.
So here's how it gets weirder. So Tarrio said in a unifying factor for the Proud Boys candidates was the most important thing, he said, was that they have to be pro-free speech. I get that we're not everybody's cup of tea, he says. We're a little rough around the edges, but we're definitely not what they make us out to be. I denounce white supremacy, and I denounce fascism and communism. I'm pretty brown, he said. I'm Cuban. There's nothing white supremacist about me. Again, this is while he was a cop, so I'm really kind of confused. What is he saying? Is he really defending them, or is he setting them up? I'm so how... It's weird. Like, was this guy a Proud Boy? And then they got to him and they were like, "Oh, you have to stop doing that. Like, remember, you're a cop." And he was like, "Oh, fuck. Oh, you're right. Let me just go back to being a cop."
See, but he's trying to put a little nuance on it, right?
Yeah.
It's not white supremacist. It's West is best collectivist. Okay.
Yes.
It's not based on your melanin content, right? But it's more based on your culture and your continent and your language and your religion and the way you were raised. And it just happens to often coincide with your melanin content that he happens to have no concern about. But
speaking of that, what's up with Stefan Melanin? Man, I haven't heard from him in a while.
Dude, he's been deplatformed.
He has
He's been I think he's still on Facebook though. I don't know. Did they ban him off Facebook?
Oh my god! I wanted to just Google Stefan Molyneux and I wrote Stefan Melanin.
I'm so happy you're catching on.
That's our nickname.
I'm taking all credit for that.
Huh?
You can subscribe to his smoke signals for $1.50 per month.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great meme.
3 weeks ago. Didn't he go to Poland and he didn't come back? I thought that's what happened. I don't know.
He
came back and said Poland is the best because it's all white people.
Rocks.
He's like, I didn't see one black person
and everybody was so happy.
He's like, there was so less crime.
And then he's like, what do you? I didn't say that white people were better. I just said everything but that.
Dude, he's so pathetic. I have to say the most triumphant moment of my show's history was back in the Friends Against Government podcast, 2019. We called him. This is 2019, so think about late 2018 when we formulated this. We said he was going to be the worst libertarian of the year in 2019. And not only was he the worst libertarian of the year in 2019, he was so bad. In the process, we had to stop calling him a libertarian because all of his views openly switched to things that are just not compatible with what we saw as libertarianism. So we call that one. and that
Yeah, he
developed.
stopped being a libertarian years before that.
I would have said around like
We were-
2016.
That's what, and honestly,
Or 15
that
even.
whole time when we formulated that, we were looking at one another like, he's barely a libertarian to begin with, but it's easy, so we'll keep this one. And then he just fully went off the deep end to a totally crazy direction. He hasn't been heard from for 3 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Or is that what he calls himself now? An ethno-nationalist?
Well, he became an ethno-nationalist. I don't know what he calls himself, but
he's so crafty with his words. Like, he talks like how like a leftist progressive talks, just in the complete opposite way. Like, it's just weird. I never trusted the guy because I don't trust a guy who gets this close to the camera and talks about things. He's just like, look at me. And
the guy who's like, let me tell you the truth about, dude, you're not like, what truth? Where you're researching shit on the internet just like everybody else.
I think the guy was definitely trying to be a cult leader.
Oh no,
with the whole like the whole defooing thing. I mean, that's just a common cult tactic.
Yeah.
And
but
just,
did you ever meet any of his followers, like at a live event or anything? There was
like
a group
recently. I mean, look, I was a kind of a follower, like in the early days.
Back in the early days,
I wasn't giving him money, but
back in the early days, remember when the Tea Party was brand new? Maybe it was 2013. When was Tea Party?
No, that would have been like 2008 or 9. It was like right after Obama got elected, I think.
It was after Ron Paul. I guess whatever it was. We had a Tea Party event before it had got like really corrupted or whatever. And we had Independence Mall, 4th of July, Larkin Rose, Michael Bednarik, I think, was there, and Stefan Molyneux. He was Stefan Molyneux at that time. He hadn't transformed into Stefan Molyneux.
He had not become preoccupied with skin color yet.
He was still in his tanning phase.
Right.
But there was a group of like maybe 15 young people that had sort of like gathered in a circle, and they were nice, but they were different from everybody else that was there. They kept apart, and I don't know. It did have a very like we're the cult follower group, like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, hey, do it if you can, right? I guess it's a private company.
Yeah, right. Speaking of that, we kind of touched on it for a little bit, but then we moved away from it. But so this week, what everyone's talking, I was shocked that this went so mainstream because people are pissed, about this squeeze. And honest to God, I had I'm not a financial guy. Like when it comes to like day trading and everything else, my supervisor keeps trying to get me to use his Robinhood link. He's like, come on, man, we'll get $5. He keeps sending it to me. I'm like, dude, I don't know anything about that shit.
Don't use that shit now.
No,
Robinhood now, dude.
And so I don't know.
E-trade,
someone else should probably better describe what happened than what I could, because I'm so fucking stupid when it comes to this shit. And
I'm not the guy for my co-host. Would have been great for this. I could tell you the start of it. I cannot tell you any of the technicalities of it.
I don't think we need to explain the exact mechanism here. I mean, everyone can just look that shit up.
It basically started in September, where this one guy, Deep Fucking Value, bought a lot of stock and began. A couple of people noticed that they were shorting by 140% GameStop stock. So the short squeeze happens. You can Google the short squeeze. It happened on a freaking Wednesday, which is when we release our podcast, which is always really frustrating. Every Wednesday, something new happens, and we have to wait a whole week to talk about it or record really late. So maybe it was Sunday, 4 or 5 days before the Wednesday when things really started to break loose, people started to really rally around buying up this stock to start the short squeeze. That's all I know. Other than that, it was done on Wall Street Bets, which now I am subscribed to on Reddit. I don't know if it's still there, but I hate Reddit virulently, but I got a Reddit account just for that page, just to see the next ridiculous thing.
There's a few good subs on Reddit, but yeah, for the most part, it's just absolute horseshit.
Yeah, I can't.
But that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
isn't it a great story of sort of the unruly masses overpowering the master and just kind of like having their way with the place, just saying screw you.
I don't think I have an article here, but I think they cost this hedge fund like billions of dollars.
Yeah. Oh, it was even more than billions.
maybe 100 billion. I mean, that's a lot.
I mean, I don't think it got into the trillions.
Well, actually, the market was affected. So listen to this. So this is a tweet from, God, I can't even pronounce that at. I'll just send you the link. Here, take that. The Reddit army has destroyed 3.2 trillion in global market cap this week, equal to the GDP of Germany, as the hedge fund short squeeze creates contagion. Hedge fund had to sell their long positions to fund their losses from short activities. So we're talking about the market cap got completely sledgehammered.
Well, I think that's a lot of I think that's kind of a broad claim. You know what I mean? They're like blaming a lot on. It's like when Bitcoin like loses like $100 billion in market share. You know what I mean? Or like market cap.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's kind of convoluted anyway. But
right.
Yeah.
There's definitely an impact going on right now. And when you've got like 1.7 million users in a coordinated effort.
Right.
On
and the hedge fund has to pay out these options that I think are set to actually. I think some of them already expired, and then there's more that are set to expire on Monday.
You mean the federal government is going to have to pay?
Well, yeah, it's going to be the federal. It's going to be me and you paying ourselves.
Yeah,
back.
Yeah, we're going to be paying. Hey, maybe that's how we get the system to work for us. We just keep crashing shit. They keep printing shit. They keep having to give it back to us. Hey, maybe we could start our own economy.
Right.
Well, what do you think the consequences of this are going to be? Because when something like this happens, like everybody's already on the phone. I'm sure the legislation is already written. It's already being lobbied. It's already getting ready to be rolled out. And it's going to mean what? Like it's because of 9/11, blank. Yeah. Because of these Reddit trolls, blank.
Right.
What is it going to be?
I think there's a little bit of a not a silver lining, but there's a little positive aspect, which is that there were a few senators that actually came out sort of on the side of the Redditors in this example and came out against Robinhood, stopping these orders from going through, whether that's just for show or whatever, I mean, obviously we're all cynical about politicians, but
they did open an investigation. I mean, for what, and this could mean nothing, but the SEC did open an investigation into Robinhood as well. So they're investigating Robinhood and Wall Street bets. Again, that could mean nothing, but at least the paperwork says you got to take a look.
I have a feeling. I mean, what the legal people do is going to be one thing, but I think what's going to be more important are going to be how the tech giants handle it. Like what I think that we're going to see a whole new wave of what's allowable on social media as far as discussions and any kind of you're one of these stock groups banned. I think Facebook already eliminated. I heard about a group getting deleted with like 150,000 members.
150,000 white supremacists, you mean?
Yes, insurrectionists.
Well, look, let's not forget about the Bitcoin bull run of 2017 when Google actually banned any crypto related ads out of their system.
I forgot about that. Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, you know what? In fact, crypto's banned in that Reddit group. Like you're not allowed to discuss.
What in Wall Street bets?
Yeah, in Wall Street bets. Like you can discuss anything but crypto, is my understanding. So I think
it isn't a crypto group. That is funny.
Yeah, I mean,
oh man,
they can moderate it.
Did you while we're still on crypto though? Did you hear that India's getting ready to ban private cryptocurrencies and they're going to create their own great Indian crypto? Did you see this? Their central bank controlled cryptocurrency, which as far as I can tell, I don't understand what's different about that from the current money system.
Right.
I know what the difference is. The difference is they've got like probably hundreds of millions of rural Indian people with no like number. They're not numbered yet.
Yep.
Right. You're not in the system. They're existing outside the system. It's like some cows had like escaped your farm and they're wandering around out in the woods and the farmer dreams about getting them back into the corral. Right. So
he creates a cryptocurrency.
Digital. It's not even going to be a cryptocurrency. They might call it a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's obviously the ultimate anything that's digital.
that they can just. It'll be like a PayPal. It'll be PayPal.
They are actually referring to it in the government documents as an official national cryptocurrency.
Oh, that makes it better.
Does it have its own legitimate blockchain with a ledger? Like, is that
they just happen to be able to tweak at any time?
You've got the white paper,
and pre-mine and regulate and block and track, and everything's set up for their benefit.
Yeah.
Let me guess.
So we got. I'm not that we're going to read through this, but we got the parliamentary bulletin, which is going to doubly serve as a white paper because in here it says what they want to do with the cryptocurrency that they want to create. So you can check that out. It's all there.
You know what would be far out if what if one of these countries said, yeah, we're starting a national currency, but we're gonna, instead of having gold reserves, we're creating a national Bitcoin reserve for our country, and have countries stacking actual Bitcoin. And then maybe
what China does, except they would actually be helping their citizens with it instead of what the Chinese government is doing, which is hauling it into a chest somewhere for the day that economy breaks.
I'm not saying it's a good way to rule people, but I'm just saying it's if as countries have traditionally, governments have wanted to hoard wealth and resources, isn't it just a matter of time before the countries are stacking Bitcoin themselves, right? Just so they. Because when shit goes under and if currencies collapse and shit, that if your country's got luckily we've got 100 billion in Bitcoin here, in addition to gold bullion and whatever assets, they can weather whatever. But anybody who's just chasing printing presses and just print burr. That could have unfortunate consequences eventually.
Oh man, just stack it up. Anybody who's in this market right now, please cash all of your money out when you feel you're ready to, directly into Bitcoin. In fact, don't even.
Well, that's what I'm kind of hoping. It's after people get tired of their GameStop stock, I guarantee that eventually its value is probably going to return to something more appropriate to what the company's worth, right?
Right. It has to. Yeah.
Does it?
And that provides.
I don't know.
Well, that provides an opportunity for people to then get in, and it's definitely overinflated. I'm just going to hold on to it and wait. It's there's always a balance.
I think if another short squeeze happens and this thing skyrockets, I think people are going to try to time it, try to sell at the top, and then whoever's left holding the bag is going to have $30 shares or something.
But it'd be a good time to, it'd be a good time to sell your GameStop and buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, any time would be a great time to do that.
And how about the silver squeeze? Now, do you think that's going to have an effect? Yeah. It seems like you're going up against some really powerful.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
tweakers. Market manipulators.
No one's shorting silver.
It's weird because all the top places where you can buy silver, even my brother, he's not really much in this, but he was sending me messages like, dude, you can't find silver anywhere. They stopped selling it. They stopped selling silver, what? APMX. All the major places that you can buy silver, they stopped.
Well, it's because there's so much paper silver out there, fake silver that's traded. But people are like, no, we want real silver. Well, we don't actually have that. But can I interest you in some paper silver? No. Go
to your local Phil or Otto. Just go to your local gold and silver dealer.
No, well, before when we got our stimulus, whatever, I literally whatever I got with the stimmy, I literally just put it all in Bitcoin, gold, silver, and guns.
I allegedly did the same thing.
So then I lost my Bitcoin in a boating accident.
Yeah, I lost it all.
It was so tragic.
I dropped my ledger right into the fucking ocean.
We were on the boat together. It was a rough day for all of us. But before that, it was really happy because I got all my silver delivered to me. So I physical hold on to it, and that's just what I keep doing. It's holding on to that. But I got to start over again after the boating accident. So
yeah, it's a shame. We have to stop getting into boats that are not reliable enough to stay above the water.
Well, because silver is really heavy. It's not as dense as gold, but it sinks fast.
I told you didn't have to bring all that silver on our fishing trip.
I just wanted to show you guys how much
fish like silver.
Yeah.
It took that one oversized catfish to really bring the whole thing down.
Oversized catfish. That's a podcast title right there.
Oversized catfish.
Oversized catfish.
Write it down.
Write that down.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Those
You wanna,
unsightly whiskers.
can I are we good on the squeezing?
Yeah. What, dude?
Yeah.
Like,
I got
you
something.
lead us.
So I want to read a Facebook post that was put out by Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that'll swing us into our next topic. This is from November 17th of 2018. As there are now over 70 people confirmed dead and over 1,000 missing, the fires in California are a horrific tragedy. I'm praying for all involved. I'm posting this in speculation because there are too many coincidences to ignore, and just putting it out there for some research that I've done stemming from my curiosity over PG&E stocks, which all tanked last week when they rallied on Thursday night after California officials announced that they would not let PG&E fall. I find it very interesting that Roger Kimmel on the board of directors of PG&E is also vice chairman of Rothschild Inc., international investment banking firm. I also find interesting the long history of financial contributions that PG&E has made to Jerry Brown over the years and millions spent in lobbying. What a coincidence it must be that Gov. Brown signed a bill in 2018 September protecting PG&E and allowing PG&E to pass off its cost of fire responsibility to its customers in rate hikes and through bonds. It must also be just a coincidence that the fires are burning in the same projected areas that the $77 billion high-speed rail project is to be built, which also happens to be Governor Brown's pet project. And what are the odds that Feinstein's husband, Richard Bloom, is the contractor for the rail project? Geez, with that much money, we could build 3 U.S. southern border walls. Then, oddly, there are all these people who have said they saw what looked like lasers or blue beams of light causing the fires, and pictures and videos. I don't know anything about that, but I do find it really curious PG&E's partnership with Solarin on space solar generators started in 2009. They announced the launch into space in 2018 in March, and maybe even put them up before that. Space solar generators collect the sun's energy and then beam it back to the Earth in a transmitter to convert to electricity. The idea is clean energy to replace coal and oil. If they are beaming the sun's energy back to Earth, I'm sure they wouldn't ever miss a transmitter receiving station, right? I mean, mistakes are never made when anything new is invented. What would all that look like anyway? A laser beam or light beam coming down from the Earth, I guess. Could that cause a fire? I don't know. I hope not. That wouldn't look so good for PG&E, Rothschild Inc., Solarin, or Jerry Brown, who sure does seem fond of PG&E. Good thing for Solarin that Michael Peavy is on their board, since he is the former president of California Public Utilities Commission, California's most powerful energy regulatory agency. Great connections right there.
What's
Also,
going on there? That was a little bit much. I kind of like
there's a
my
lot
eyes
there.
glazed over halfway
There's
through.
a lot there.
So
There's
brilliant.
there's a little more at the end there about just more or less talk. Okay,
Do
more or
tell.
less
just
talking
summarize
about.
it.
Okay.
We have a really short attention span.
All right. I'm trying to summarize it, but I got to read it because I haven't read this before. It seems like there are a lot of people in this crowd, and with these space solar generators, I really hope they have very good aim beaming the sun's power down to Earth. But what do I know? I just like to read a lot. That's how she ends it.
Okay,
What
so
makes
this
it
is
a
my
Jewish?
newspaper
What makes it a Jewish space laser?
I did right. I didn't hear anything about that. That made it a Jewish space laser.
Anytime you talk about the Rothschilds, people just assume they're being anti-Semitic, which is,
Which is in itself anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I mean
automatically
that part
assume
is like a
Blame
Vox.
Jews.
lib left kind of thing to do, but
That was
clearly
crazy.
she's insane.
Feinstein's husband, Richard Blum. Who else is in here?
I mean, it was interesting to hear
Rothschild Inc.
walk through all the connections, and like in the beginning, you're kind of like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm following you. Like, all
Starts
right,
to
yeah,
spin.
there's a lot of cronyism, and then it's like lasers from space, and you're like, oh, I'm off the train.
No,
Uh-huh.
that's what got me hooked more into it.
Well, I mean, I'm off the this is logical and makes sense,
What?
and then
Oh,
I'm
I
on
don't.
the-
Is that what Solarin does? That they beam?
what is
and the
Solarin?
the company that creates this.
How do I spell this? Spell it for me.
Solaren. Is that what Solarin does? They beam the energy from space back down to a transmitting station. Is that what happens?
Here's the thing. Though. I went out for a second, but why is this also anti-Semitic? Because she brought up a Jew.
Well,
Richard Blum and,
Like, what?
and Rothschild Inc.
Yeah,
That's
anytime
it.
you say Rothschilds,
Yeah, that seems
you're
to be it.
anti-Semitic.
So it's like you're making them feel like wow, yeah, I'm anti-Semitic. They're saying that because I brought up a Jewish person's name. Maybe they are the overrule, the overlords of our world. Maybe they are reptilians. This is what I find so funny about the story. It comes off anti-Semitic because you just brought up the Rothschilds. But this is fucking hilarious. I love this. This is the best.
I think they're just a solar power company. Oh no, hold on. It says space-based solar power.
Yeah, yes. So I mean, she's not lying. They create.
Okay,
solar...
so they collect the solar
Yeah.
power in space with solar panels, and then somehow get it back to the Earth.
It's weird because if you look at the Vox article that
kinda
I
cool.
sent you, all the it's all like people around her have said anti-Semitic things.
Hmm.
Every one of their citations is about other people in her face. Like there's literally a citation about a person who commented on that post who was anti-Semitic, and that's being used in the article about her being anti-Semitic.
Oh God.
Wait,
I'm
so
just
she shared a
confused.
video. She shared a video in December 2018 which features a prominent British anti-Semite
Yes.
explaining that Zionist supremacists have schemed to promote immigration and miscegenation. I mean, sharing a video like that is probably not a good indicator of your feelings, but
Oh,
it is a good indicator of your
Jesus.
feelings. But
this is just amazing. Oh boy, I love this shit.
well, she's also like supposedly a Q believer too, right?
Yeah, but God, you want to get into that rabbit hole?
Actually,
What
let's
I
save that
just
for the
read.
after hours.
Yeah.
All right, so Bird, do you think you can stick around for the after hours for a little bit?
Is it after hours?
Well, it's like however long you want to stay. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
do
I'll
it right
stick
after
around.
the show. So
Yeah, I'll stick around. I gotta brush up on my Q knowledge, but yeah.
all right, so let's just take this straight over to the after hours then. Let me remind people, you guys listening, you guys are awesome. But if you want to be even more awesome, you guys need to sign up for our Patreon so you can listen to the after hours for as little as $1 a month. You guys can check out their after hours podcast. Or if you guys don't want to do Patreon, we have a website, PRLfans.com. You can go there and find other ways to donate to the show. We have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. If you use the code PRL or PRL Podcast, you get a 10% discount. If you use the code PRL2 and spend over $50, you'll get yourself a 20% discount. Tonight has always been brought to you by Conversations About Freedom by Moral Bob. I just want to take a second to thank you, Bird, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys can check out Bird and have us rest this conversation. We'll take it over to the after hours. So I highly encourage you people to listen to it. It's going to be fun. But I guess until next time, live free
Or die.
Squaw.
Oh, squaw. You got to get the squaw in.
Yeah.